I'm gonna be honest, I never ever thought I would be making this video. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very interesting video. The football manager king himself, Will Still, is supposedly the favourite to be taken over at Sunderland. Now I'm sure many people know exactly who Will Still is, but I'm not sure that everyone knows exactly what he's about. So today we're going to be looking at what the ginger man from Belgium could bring to the Stadium of Light. Still is known for his adaptable use of many formations with Rumours. He deploys a variety of setups ranging from a 3-5-2 to a 4-3-1-2, with the real mainstay in his team being somewhat of a central build-up. Most recently Still deployed a 3-5-2 and definitely had that central emphasis, but he did so in order to create these isolated scenarios out wide. Just looking at the players' average positions against Strasbourg, and we see a clear pattern of the midfielders and two centre forwards staying in the middle and thus creating that space out wide. Now I'm sure Sunderland fans are absolutely licking their lips at the sound of that, because we know that they've got two of probably the very best in the Championship in terms of taking a man on. Firstly though, we're going to look at Jack Clarke. The Englishman is a sensational talent, and that's if you're looking at him with the eye test, looking at his flair and energy and work rate, or if you just go and look at his numbers and the numbers that he produces week in and week out. So far this season, Clarke has averaged 3.6 successful take-ons per 90, and I think majority of people know that once Clarke is a defender isolated, it's basically over before it even begins. Now this mirrors the successes of Reims' wide man Maxime Boussy, who sits in the top 13% for successful take-ons by wingbacks in Ligue 1. Therefore I do think you can see how Jack Clarke could have a major role to play in Will Still's team. However, as I said before, it's not just one winger with these talents. Sunderland have two of them, and the next one is Patrick Roberts. Now he's not been brilliant this season in terms of actual output. There's not been too many goals there. He's not really contributing assists to the level that we know he can, but he is a proper, and I mean proper, entertainer, and this again could certainly be a massive player to have in Will Still's squad. Just like Clarke, he's a master of beating his man, shown by the fact he sits in the top 2% of wingers for dribbles completed in the Championship this season. But outside of that, what does make him even better is the fact we know he can control the game from tight spaces. Will Still likes to build up in the central areas, as I previously mentioned, but he then does also like to force the ball out wide. So if he was to opt for more of a 3-4-3 and maybe have Roberts playing as the further forward right man, his ability to come inside into the half spaces and kind of control the flow of games could be absolutely massive. I mean, this season already he's racked up over 900 touches, with nearly 80 of them being inside the opposition's penalty box. However, this situation with the wide men is obviously speculation. We don't really know if he's going to go with maybe a 3-5-2, a 3-4-1-2. We don't really know what he's going to choose. But what we do know that Will Still loves is having two proper centre forwards. Now lads, I know what you're thinking. Jacob, Sunderland don't have any centre forwards that can put the ball in the back of the net. Well, this is where Still's experience comes in, and that is mental to say considering he's 31, but he does have a decent track record with getting his strikers to convert chances. I mean, a prime example of that is Balogun. He finished last season as the joint 4th highest top scorer in Ligue 1. But Sunderland don't have Balogun, so who would be the two centre forwards trusted to lead the line? Well, if we're just looking at the average positions against Strasbourg, we see the two front men usually play off one another, with one of them running the channels and the other coming slightly deeper to link play. And I think this again massively suits Sunderland. I'm going to take a little bit of a risk here, and I'm sure many people probably won't agree with me on this, but I think Joe Bellingham could fulfill the role of this deeper striker. His form isn't excellent currently, but if we're looking at the season as a whole, I've been very impressed, specifically when he is pushed slightly more advanced as an attacking midfielder or centre forward. He has the simplistic abilities to retain the ball, he has the power to pin defenders or carry the ball, and although his finishing isn't currently brilliant, he still does have 3 goals from a 4.07 XG. Now though, who would his partner be? Who complements Job's ability to do the simplistic stuff and retain possession? Who can run the line well? For me, it can't be anyone else than Russin. I know he's a player that Sunderland fans have been very excited about, and I can completely understand why. He's pretty solid technically, he's strong, he's fast, and definitely aggressive. So he's pretty much everything you want as a football fan. Yet despite all these talents that are labelled, you know, he's fast, strong, all that sort of stuff, what I think is really his best attribute and what could be massive in terms of playing under Will Still would be his movement and capabilities to run the channels. Looking at his heat map against Birmingham, and you see him in the channels fairly often, and with the free-flowing, fast-paced football that would likely be brought to the Stadium of Light, I really do think he would be a perfect fit as the more advanced centre-forward. We've looked at some of the players that could have very bright futures under Still, but what are his main principles? The higher we stay, the less they can attack us. That's what Will Still said just before he went against PSG in his first game at his current club. And I think that's a pretty fair assessment, to be honest. His side does sometimes get caught out in transition, but they also reap the rewards of staying high, with them averaging 5.7 possessions won in the final third per game, seeing them sit as the 5th highest team in Ligue 1. Although the football at Reims is seen as good and entertaining, it's not overly possession-based. Yes, once they break into the final third, they keep possession well and kind of manipulate play to create these isolated 1v1 scenarios in wide areas, but their biggest threat, and probably the biggest credit to Will Still as a coach, is how quickly they transition. It's so hard to stop when they flip the game and just get at you, and this is exactly what Reims are very good at. In summary though, I think there's many different dynamics that we could see coming to Tyneside in the coming weeks, and that could all be with Will Still. We could go from a 4-3-3, a 3-5-2, a 3-5-1-2, a 5 at the back, a 4 at the back, a 3 at the back. He's so adaptable in the football that he plays and the setups that he uses that I really think he could massively complement the current squad at Sunderland. He's got players like Dennis Sergen, Trey Hume, who can kind of operate slightly further forward from fullback, which obviously suits that kind of wing-back style. You've got players like Patrick Roberts, who can come into more number 10 positions or even out wide. Joe Bellingham, who can contribute all areas of midfield, or as I said before, as a centre-forward. So for me, I think Will Still is definitely going to be the best appointment if it happens. And to be honest, it's looking fairly likely. But that's my thoughts on Still to Sunderland. If you have enjoyed them, please do leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.